Does Miami appear to be a better fit for the culture, the academics, the football, everything involved in the SEC or the Big Ten? How would you make that comparison?
So I think the big difference would be how many you want to add. Yeah. So, and that's the big issue. Like I think the thing about Miami is you want to say, like, does Miami qualify? Like would they be okay somewhere? In the SEC, it should be absolutely. Of course, you also have like sometimes some weird relationships going on. When sometimes you have rivals that supposedly do or don't want their rival in there. That tends to be more on like an athletic director or fan level. It's very rare that that's on an institutional and a presidential level. And I mean, for example, when you heard Texas A&M and the Texas thing, like you heard that like, oh, we don't want Texas. You heard that from fans. You maybe heard that from some people in the athletic department. You didn't hear that from the senior executives, right? Like they're viewing as like the Texas A&M game is where we're going to have every billion-dollar donor in the world. They want that game. I mean, another example, USC Rutgers, right? People are like, oh my gosh, that's so terrible. No, that's not terrible. USC flies its business students out to New York for like meetings and parties and receptions like every year anyway. The USC week in DC that they do every year is a huge thing with all the senators and the congressmen and the government executives and all these people. And so as a result of that, like they want to be playing at Maryland. The grant of rights question. Sorry, Mario, I just saw you made a super chat. I'll give you the answer. So the word I heard as of like half hour ago in a great interview with Ross Dellinger, who's broken this down all kinds, and Andy Staples, who's broken this down, is that he thinks your grant of rights, they both think your grant of rights is pretty ironclad. I'm told your grant of rights is to anyone who's just watching, we're answering the super chat question. Your grant of rights is pretty ironclad, and I'm told it's a terribly written contract, like problematically terribly written, such as, so again, this is what I've been told. I haven't read it myself. But that it, for example, doesn't even include jurisdictions, like which courts and which states would have jurisdiction. It's something that would usually be like maybe a 50-page contract, and it's like a 4-page contract. Like it is very ironclad and probably really difficult to get out of unless the majority of the conference wants to get out of it. So you guys may be sort of stuck in that, but it also may help you, right? Because it may keep your conference together in a way that lets you just sort of dominate. I mean, one of the big things, you guys remember back when Miami was in the Big East, like the Big East was never perceived as like the best conference. That didn't matter because Miami will knock you around in the conference and they'll go knock you around in the non-conference. So to Miami fans, I think you guys should not be as worried about like, can we get in with the cool kids as like, can we just keep knocking people around? I think as long as you guys knock people around, you're going to be in the elite elements of football. And by the way, the ACC is a great conference to be in for all your other sports. It also is now, actually, I guess you're probably behind the Big Ten, the second most elite academic conference we have, behind the Big Ten and the Ivy League. So it's a good place to be.